There comes a time in every life when you must decide, do I remain chained to what has been, or do I step into what could be? Too many of us have allowed the weight of our past, the opinions of others, and the limitations we've accepted in our own minds to dictate how far we go. But the truth is, what you are tied to is not stronger than what God has placed inside of you. What has been holding you down cannot keep you if you dare to rise. Sometimes the things holding you are not even people or situations. They are thoughts, fears, and lies that whisper to you in the silence of the night. They tell you that you are not enough, that you have failed too many times, that your mistakes are too big to overcome. But I came to tell you, you are not what you've been through. You are not the label that others put on you. You are not the sum total of your struggles. You are greater, stronger, and more resilient than every chain that has tried to confine you. There are moments in life when you must recognize that freedom is not granted by people. Freedom is chosen by you. You cannot wait for everybody to approve of you before you move. You cannot wait for the circumstances to be perfect before you start. If you keep waiting for the right moment, you will spend your life waiting and never living. You must decide, this is my moment. This is my season. This is my time to break free. And understand this, breaking free is not always easy. Sometimes it means walking away from relationships that no longer honor your purpose. Sometimes it means silencing voices that speak doubt into your destiny. Sometimes it means confronting the parts of yourself that you've been too afraid to deal with. Freedom demands courage. It demands faith. It demands that you stretch beyond your comfort zone and trust that what is in front of you is worth more than what is behind you. There is a future calling your name, but it cannot find you if you remain bound to the past. There are opportunities waiting for you, but they will pass you by if you stay tied to fear. There is joy, peace, and purpose with your name on it, but you cannot receive it if your hands are still clinging to what hurts you. You must let go, not because letting go is easy, but because holding on is destroying you. I dare you today to shake yourself free from every limitation, every shackle, every weight that has tried to hold you hostage. Refuse to live another day as a prisoner of your past. Refuse to let fear dictate your future. Refuse to bow down to the chains of doubt and insecurity. Stand tall, lift your head, and declare, I am free, I am chosen, I am destined for greater. You were not created to live small. You were not created to remain stuck. You were created to soar. The cage cannot contain what was designed to fly. The chains cannot bind what was designed to be strong. The past cannot bury what was destined to rise. It's time to break free from what's holding you. There are seasons in life when the weight you carry is not visible to anyone around you, yet it presses down on your heart with a heaviness that cannot be measured. It is the silent battles, the quiet struggles, the invisible chains that so often hold us back more than any external opposition. You may walk into a room smiling, looking composed, appearing as though you have it all together, but inside you know there are things that have shackled your progress. These are the things that whisper when the lights are off, that remind you of every mistake, that question your worth, that plant seeds of doubt in your mind. And the tragedy is that many live their whole lives never confronting these unseen barriers, accepting them as permanent fixtures rather than temporary weights. What you fail to confront will always control you, and what you tolerate will eventually dominate your life. Every person has a calling, a unique destiny, something greater than what they see right now. But so many never reach it because they allow themselves to remain confined by things that were never meant to define them. A bad decision, a broken relationship, a painful past, or even the fear of failure can become chains that keep you repeating the same cycle. You get close to breaking through, close to tasting freedom, and then something pulls you right back into the same place of frustration. It is almost as if there is a leash on your soul, giving you just enough room to move but never enough room to run. But you were never created to live on a leash. You were designed to walk in liberty, to stretch, to grow. to explore the full potential that was placed inside of you before you even knew your own name. The challenge is that breaking free requires more than wishing. It requires a deliberate decision to no longer settle for what has been. There is no freedom without a fight, no victory without a struggle, and no breaking of chains without resistance. You cannot simply wait for someone to unlock the door for you. You must decide to push, to pull, to shake until the hinges of limitation can no longer hold the door shut. Too often, people give up at the first sign of resistance. They assume that difficulty is a sign that they are not supposed to move forward. But difficulty is not a sign of denial. It is often the very proof that you are moving towards something worth fighting for. The chains rattle the loudest when they are closest to breaking. There will be times when you look around and realize that not everyone will understand your need to break free. Some people will prefer you bound because your freedom exposes their complacency. Others will discourage you because they cannot imagine life beyond their own limitations. But you must recognize that your life cannot be dictated by those who choose to stay trapped. If you listen too long to voices that tell you to stay where you are, you will eventually silence the voice inside of you that says, "There is more." And once that inner voice dies, dreams fade, passion diminishes, and purpose lies dormant beneath the rubble of doubt. So you must protect your vision, you must guard your heart, and you must feed your faith. You must remind yourself daily that your past does not determine your future, that failure is not final, that what you have survived is not stronger than the destiny that awaits you. You have been through enough to know that storms come and go, but your spirit endures. You have walked through dark nights and lived to see the morning. You have carried weights you thought would break you, yet here you stand. If you could survive all that, then surely you can step into the freedom that is waiting on the other side of your obedience, your courage, and your determination to no longer be held by what once held you. There are moments when life seems to create prisons not made of stone and iron, but of thoughts, fears, and invisible barriers. You can be free on the outside and yet shackled on the inside, unable to move forward because something in your spirit has been locked away. This kind of bondage is more dangerous than any physical chain, because no one else can see it, and therefore no one else can break it for you. The prison of the mind convinces you that you are smaller than you really are, weaker than you truly are, less worthy than you were created to be. It convinces you that you are defined by the lowest moments of your past rather than the highest potential of your future. It convinces you that what you have lost has disqualified you from what is yet to come. And if you are not careful, you begin to believe those lies, living beneath your calling, shrinking your dreams, and reducing yourself to fit into the expectations of others. But there is something within you that refuses to stay bound. That small voice, that flicker of hope, that hunger for something more, it is the evidence that you were never meant to stay trapped. It is the proof that deep down inside, you know you were born for greater. Even when the chains feel tight, there is something in your soul that whispers, "This is not it. There is more for me." You may try to silence it, you may try to bury it beneath the noise of life, but it will not die. Purpose is resilient, and it will keep rising to the surface until you either embrace it or spend your life running from it. Breaking free begins in the mind before it ever manifests in reality. If you do not shift the way you think, you will keep living the same cycle, no matter how many chances you get. The mind is where battles are won or lost, and too many people sabotage their own freedom by rehearsing the same negative thoughts again and again. You cannot step into a new season with an old mindset. You cannot carry a vision for tomorrow while clinging to the fears of yesterday. You must be willing to confront the way you think about yourself, about your circumstances, and about your future. Until you break free in your thinking, you will never break free in your living. There are people who have been conditioned by failure. Every setback they faced rewired their belief system to expect defeat. Now, even when opportunity presents itself, they retreat out of habit, convinced they will not succeed. This is what happens when you let past pain dictate present decisions. You may have been disappointed before, but that does not mean you will always be disappointed. You may have failed before, but that does not mean you are a failure. What held you then does not have to hold you now, unless you keep feeding it with your agreement. The chain may be real, but the power it has over you lies in your willingness to accept it. Freedom is not about ignoring reality. It is about refusing to let reality define you. You may acknowledge the struggle, but you must not bow down to it. You may admit the pain, but you cannot let it become your identity. What you have survived is not who you are. It is only what you've been through. If you allow the storm to name you, you will forever answer to labels that were never yours. But if you decide that your true name is victory, resilience, and strength, then no matter what life throws at you, you will rise above it. To break free requires courage, not because freedom is unattainable, but because it demands that you confront the unknown. People fear freedom because it requires responsibility. When you are bound, at least the boundaries are familiar. You know what to expect, even if it is painful. But freedom requires faith, because stepping out means trusting in what you cannot yet see. It means leaving the security of what you know, even if what you know is misery. That is why so many remain stuck, not because they cannot be free, but because freedom feels too unfamiliar. Yet destiny cannot be reached from the comfort zone. Purpose cannot be fulfilled within the walls of fear. To experience the life that is waiting for you, you must dare to walk out of the prison you have known and trust that something greater is prepared for you beyond the walls. There are times when the weight of life does not come from the world around you, but from the voices within you. The inner critic that tells you that you are not enough, the echo of past failures that keep replaying in your memory, the fear that whispers that if you try again, you will only fall again. These voices are powerful because they are familiar. They sound like truth because you have rehearsed them so often. But the danger of listening to them is that they begin to set the limits of your life. You find yourself living inside invisible fences that you never even questioned. You stop reaching for new heights because the voice inside said you could not handle it. You stop pursuing what burns in your heart because you convinced yourself that it is too late. You stop walking through open doors because you expect them to slam shut before you even get there. And slowly, without realizing it, you start building your own prison, locking yourself in with the very fears that are robbing you of your destiny. What is holding you is not always external. It is often internal, hidden deep within the way you perceive yourself. You can blame the environment, you can blame the people around you, but if you do not change what is happening within you, you will never experience lasting freedom. Chains are not always made of steel. Sometimes they are made of lies that were spoken over you, words you accepted without question, labels that you allowed to stick to your soul. Perhaps someone told you that you were not smart enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. Perhaps you grew up in an atmosphere where no one believed in you, so you learned not to believe in yourself. But those words, those beliefs, do not have to be your truth. Just because someone planted them in your life does not mean you have to keep watering them. You cannot stop what people say, but you can stop what you agree with. Breaking free means rejecting the lies and choosing to stand on the truth of who you really are. It means deciding that you will no longer answer to the names life has called you, but instead answer to the name destiny has given you. When you change the way you see yourself, you change the way you show up in life. You begin to walk differently, to speak differently, to carry yourself differently. You no longer move timidly, waiting for permission, because you recognize that you already carry within you the authority to walk boldly. Freedom comes when you stop shrinking to fit into the spaces that were never meant for you and start expanding into the spaces that were designed with you in mind. Every step toward freedom will be tested. The moment you try to break out of the mold, resistance will rise. Obstacles will appear not because you are not meant to move forward, but because what is ahead of you is significant. The greater the destiny, the greater the opposition. But resistance is proof that there is progress. A locked door does not mean you are not supposed to walk through it. It simply means you will need persistence to unlock it. You cannot let the presence of a struggle convince you that freedom is impossible. In fact, the very tension you feel is often the sign that you are closer than you think. Sometimes you must remind yourself that what is holding you is not stronger than what is within you. Life has tried to bury you under mistakes, under regrets, under fear, but it underestimated your resilience. You are still here. You have endured storms that should have destroyed you, seasons that should have broken you, nights that should have silenced you. Yet you survived. That is evidence that nothing outside of you has the final say over your destiny. If the storm could not stop you then, it cannot stop you now. If the pain did not kill you then, it cannot kill you now. If the loss did not end you then, it cannot end you now. The chains may have tried to hold you, but your spirit has proven time and again that it cannot be defeated. Freedom is not just about escaping what binds you, it is about embracing what calls you. It is about realizing that your life has meaning beyond the struggle, that there are gifts within you waiting to be used, that there are people connected to your destiny who need you to rise. Staying bound does not only affect you, it impacts everyone who is supposed to benefit from your courage, your vision, your purpose. You breaking free is not just about your liberty. It is about the ripple effect of your life becoming a testimony that others can draw strength from.